Alliance is really to advance access to cochlear implants through research, advocacy, and awareness. And we're excited to bring some awareness and advocacy to all of you tonight. Before we get started, just a couple things. If you want to put your camera on, that's great. If you are busy with other things, that's okay too. But we would love to see everybody that is here tonight. You can also find captioning too on your screen. If you experience any kind of issues or you have questions throughout the webinar, please go ahead and put that in the chat, and our team will be happy to help you in any way possible. One thing to look forward to after the webinar, we're going to send out a brief survey, and your feedback is really important to us so that we can improve these events going forward and know what topics that you want to hear. And now, without any further delay, it is really a pleasure to introduce everyone to Lexi Finnegan, who is the voice of Cece and El Defo, and she has a special guest tonight with her Valley. And I just thank both of you for being here. And I'm going to turn over the floor over to you, Lexi.
Perfect. Let me get the slideshow up. Okay. Looks good? All right. Hello, everyone. I'm Lexi Finnegan, and I'd like to welcome everybody to our fourth Cochlear Implant Connections for Teens webinar. Firstly, I would like to give my huge thanks with all of the support and guidance provided by ACI Alliance in this webinar series. For any of the new people here, I am now 17 years old, and I am officially a high school senior on my first day of school on August 12th, which is next Wednesday. I was diagnosed with profound hearing loss at the age of 2.5 years old. Shortly after, I got bilateral cochlear implants when I was about 3 years old. 3 fun facts about me is that I have a dog, I absolutely love to travel, and I like to do very thrilling activities like roller coasters and obstacle courses. Here are some photos of my Morgie. She is a mixed breed between a Yorkshire Terrier and a Maltese. Her name is Macy, and I love these photos because she is a very sassy dog. In the photo in the top middle is when my mom and I took it in a scone making class in London. They call them scones over there, but we call them biscuits in America. I am also a huge foodie. If you look at my camera roll, all you will see is pictures of food that I find aesthetically pleasing. Lastly, these are 2 photos. I'm sure my 2 friends, Ava and Nate, will recognize the photos. It is from the Loft summer camp last week, and we went on this outdoor obstacle course called Go Ape in Washington, D.C. I would definitely say it was quite an adrenaline rush because we had to go on swinging rope and platforms. In addition, there's tons of fun zip lines. All right, to switch things up, what is your favorite food? It can be all time or in this particular moment. Please type it in the chat and I will read it out loud. Oh, and also my favorite food is actually baklava. I heard it's really hard to make, and also I love sweets. We got some of the pizza. I actually put in the photo of pizza on the bottom left because I was like, oh, probably quite a bit of people will say pizza. Anything Mexican, it is as a Californian, it's plentiful. I had a friend from California. She was like, "I'm not eating Chipotle because she had the authentic Mexican food." Skyline chili, chicken Alfredo, Chipotle. There we go. All right, I think we are going to move on. Oh, okay. Um, okay. Today's topic is sports as a cochlear implant user. I will be discussing about how I grew up navigating around sports as a whole, and golf now, and some tips. If you happen to have any additional questions during the presentation, please feel free to type in the chat. We have some people who will be watching the chat and can help answer some questions, and I can look at them later on. After that, we have our special guest, Valley Gideons, who is an author, hearing loss advocate, and a mother to athletes. She also has a website called My Battle Call, which is an amazing resource for both parents and teens. She'll be discussing about her own experiences as a parent and how she supported her children in sports. We will have her references displayed at the end of the slideshow. So, when I was younger, my pediatrician advised my mom that I should avoid sports because I had enlarged vestibular aqueduct syndrome, which is a mouthful. Long story short, it is a genetic condition that caused me to lose hearing in both of my ears and can significantly affect my balance. Some individuals who have this condition may have mild to moderate hearing loss, but if they get bumped to the head, for example, during contact sports, they may face a sudden loss in hearing that could be temporary or permanent. Actually, one fun fact that could have caused my profound hearing loss, because it wasn't exactly known to the orphanage when I was at the time what caused it, but I did happen to head ram another baby. Especially when I'm in at the developmental stage, even a minor hit to the head can have drastic effects. In addition, at Loft last week, I met two people with the same genetic condition that potentially could have contributed to their hearing loss. It's really cool to meet other people with my condition because you never know. Also, I would like to provide a quick disclaimer that the reason I am not able to do contact sports is not because I am deaf and I have cochlear implants. My sole reason is because of my genetic condition, and it was advised to me by my pediatrician that I should avoid contact sports. So from pre-K to fourth grade, I did dance almost every day after school. Some people say it is a sport, but it is. Anyway, I did ballet, jazz, tap, and hip hop. I sort of followed the path of my older sister and cousin who both loved dance and were very involved. In my dance studio, it was a closed setting. Therefore, all of the sound would echo a ton. I vividly remember struggling to hear the music beat in my dance classes majority of the time. In addition to the echoes, the instructors were have to speak very loudly over the music to provide us instruction on the choreography. During this time, I could have used my microphone, but I would leave my microphone at the school because that was where my designated charging station was. But also, my instructors were dancing to the choreography with us, and I would be absolutely screwed if it fell and broke, and I wouldn't be able to use it for school for the rest of the school year. So, and also the microphone would pick up nearly every gush of wind. So all I would hear would be the whooshing rather than the instructor. It was not just a logical choice for me at the time. And also, you all have heard of hearing fatigue, right? Well, it was a super well-known thing. Well, not to me when I was younger. So I've heard of it, but no one really explained to me what hearing fatigue was. But when I was younger, I didn't realize it at the time, but I had it really bad. I was a pretty rowdy kid, no kidding, but usually I was pretty content and well behaved. But during dance classes, I just couldn't get myself to focus. At the time, I couldn't explain why I tended to misbehave more and get off task constantly. But looking at it now, after having a 7 hour day of school and going straight into 3 hours of dance, no wonder why I had such a hard time focusing. So, back when I was in middle school, this was post COVID, and everyone was transitioning back to in person. I was tired of being cooped up in the house and I wanted to pick up a new hobby. As much as I loved dance, I didn't have the same joy in it. And I lost literally all of my flexibility. I used to be able to like kick my leg up very high. Now I can't even do that. I can barely touch my toes. But I used to almost do the split, but can't do that now. And I didn't think I would change that much in 2 years, but apparently I did. My mom suggested golf because it isn't a contact sport. I did one lesson and I fell in love. Just like any other sport, I sweat a heck bunch. Especially now, since my weather app is saying it feels like 105 degrees Fahrenheit outside. And so I have a dryer. It's like this box thing, specifically for my cochlear implants that I would have plugged in and ready to use when I get home. After playing golf for like 3 hours in this hot weather, I would get home, see the sweat accumulated all over my cochlear implant, on the magnet, and the processor all over the microphone. I threw it in my dryer as I showered. After my shower, it was fully dried and good to go. This was primarily the only thing I have to worry about as a golfer. There's not nearly as many risks in golf compared to contact sports. The chances of getting hit by a golf ball are very slim, and the exact location of my cochlear implants is basically impossible. It hasn't happened in the 5 years of me playing golf, but one close instance that I had, I'm pretty bad when it comes to listening in terms of people behind me and like hearing them. And one time when I was doing a golf tournament, there was this girl, her club got swung out, her club like threw out of her hands because her grip must have slipped. And when it was 1 yard away from hitting me, and there's people yelling, but I didn't know it was for me. So that was a very close instance. And of course, with any sport, there are risks. And then here are some photos of me and dance and golf. Okay, time for a smidge of a break. Does anyone happen to have any questions? If you do, please feel free to type it in the chat. If not, okay. Um, Um, I actually do not plan on golfing in college. I do want to do club golf, which is not like D1 or D2 or D3, but it is a lot more relaxed. And also, I love golf, but I want to pursue a major that is very time consuming and can make it difficult for people to be able to do it professionally. And also, I like having that sort of freedom in doing the sport that I love. Okay, so when it is raining, so I actually have two solutions. I have this waterproof jacket that can go as a hoodie. That's one way. Or actually three ways. I have a waterproof jacket. I have a umbrella that can cover my clubs and me. And lastly, sometimes just to be extra safe, I'll put a rag over my head just to make sure it's not getting any rain on it. And also, I also do wear a visor because that helps a little bit as well. So back when I was in elementary, when I did have cochlear implants, everyone knew I had cochlear implants, but it wasn't anything that I pursued accommodations, which I sort of wish I had, just to be sure that I would be able to understand everything. And for golf, usually golf is pretty silent sport, which is why I like it so much because you just do your own thing. But my coaches do know. I do inform them more casually, hey, just to let you know, I do have cochlear implants and sometimes I can't hear as well. And that's pretty good. Yep. All right. I think we are going to transition over to Valley Gideon's. She is the mother of she is a mother of two college age kids, and they both have cochlear implants. And she is a hearing loss advocate. She has published two books with a degree in journalism. She has written countless of articles and essays. She is also the founder of the online platform My Battle Call that reaches millions of people each month. Take the show away.
Hey, Valerie, you're on mute. Oh, now you're good.
I think unmuting would be helpful. Thank you so much, Lexi. I love listening to you present, and thank you to Carrie for having me. I love the small world of hearing loss and kids who are deaf and hard of hearing, adults who are deaf and hard of hearing, and Cochlear Implant Alliance is full circle for me. I saw that Dr. Don Goldberg is one of the people from the very beginning of this alliance, who was my son, Battle's first auditory verbal therapist when he was born in Cleveland, Ohio. So he was instrumental in teaching us as parents to set the bar high. He told us that when I had this little baby boy, and he said, set the bar high and he will rise. And that's something I've never forgotten. Me and Dawn are still in touch, but I'm just really grateful to be here. I love speaking to parents and people who are part of this community. It is so special to me. So I really, really appreciate being here. Swipe. Lexi is my IT person. So meet my team. I'm the mother, and I'm not speaking for the children. I'm speaking about them. That is Battle, hence the name of my blog, which is My Battle Call. And he is my son who has bilateral cochlear implants. He's going into his junior year of college. As you can see, he's a football player. We live in California, but this summer, he is a grown boy. He stayed in Chicago for the summer. I'll share I think it's very cool how his small world has come together. He is working as an RA with students who are coming to Chicago to take class for the summer. So he does that. He's working in a research lab, working with vestibular inner ear stuff, which I think is just crazy. And he's shadowing a cochlear implant surgeon, ENT. So he's pre-med, and he doesn't know where he wants to go with pre-med, but so how could I say no? You're not allowed to stay in Chicago for the summer, even though he's from California, which brings me to my daughter Harper, who's going into her sophomore year of college. Luckily, she came home for the summer, and she is working as a lifeguard. And it's another full circle moment for me because she's working at the YMCA where she learned to swim, and where I was a director of health and wellness for years when she was a little kid. And so she is now working there, and runs into members in the aqua aerobics classes that knew me when Harper was a baby. And they can't believe she's old enough to be now guarding. And she decided she doesn't really like kids that much. Working she's like, they're kind of rude and they spit and splash, but it's cute. And then, like Lexi, we also love our dogs around here. That's Jelly and Earl, our two shelter pups. Thank you. I guess we're talking about sports, which is one of my favorite subjects. We are a family that loves all kinds of sports. And one of the probably most popular questions I get throughout the year since I started my online platform was, can kids with devices play sports? And my answer is, heck yeah. And here's a little example of that. One, before, when our kids both were born with hearing loss, I didn't say Harper also, she's bimodal, so cochlear implant and hearing aid. I think I left that part out. But so there was no Facebook. The internet was just becoming a thing. I know, Lexi, can you imagine? It was really, really hard to find resources. It was, you can't even imagine. And now what we have here today, I feel like it's an honor to be part of an advocacy group that helps parents who are just beginning the journey and trying to be for them what I wished I would have had when my kids were babies. But for us, it was more of a mindset. Whether they could play or not, we never thought they couldn't. We just never even thought not playing was a thing. So whatever they try, we were up for. And I think that treating them as if they're just capable is what kind of set them up for success. They weren't always good at everything. I'm a better snow skier, and I'm proud of that. And then you'll see the bottom picture of my daughter did her first triathlon last May. And I used to compete in triathlons. So that was like another just proud mama moment that my daughter was able to compete in the sport that I once did. But so I think really for any parent that might be here wondering what's possible, I think just continue that Don Goldberg philosophy of setting the bar high and try things and see what sticks. And the most important thing, besides building friendships and confidence and fitness, is having fun. So find what is fun for you and try it. And one thing with playing sports, though, which is another question that we get all the time, is setting the kids up for success. And how did we do that so that they would have a good experience? And that came from working with coaches. And also, it's the same with education, working with teachers, but working with coaches. So wait. So here's what we did is these are just a few of the resources I have on my website that we've created. They've gone through many evolutions throughout the years, but it started way back when we realized that it was too much to overwhelm a coach with trying to like tell them everything they needed to know about hearing loss. And every coach, I would say almost every coach we ever dealt with through the years, and this is through every sport you can imagine, every new seasons, multiple seasons, different coaches. These were Battle and Harper might be the first person they ever met that utilized hearing technology or had hearing loss or were deaf and hard of hearing. So we quickly learned we were going to need to do something a little bit more strategic. So here's what we ended up fine tuning. Was always, so we created a guide, and my son, Battle, helped me write it, the original coach guide. We turned it into a PDF, and we would email it to the coach before the season started. And then this is the key. We would set up a meeting with the coach before the season began. Because the thing we learned through trial and error was catching a coach on the first day of practice is not a good idea. And my husband's been a coach. I've been a coach. So we know that first day is like herding cats, and it's too chaotic to catch a coach on the fly and expect them to be able to either focus, listen. So we would always request a meeting before the season began. Not always possible, but when possible. And then send them the guide, let them take their time to read it, print out a copy, come to the meeting, give them another copy so they had it on hand and they could give it to anyone else who might need to see it, and then just do a little Q&A. And that we would bring the kids along for that meeting so they could speak directly to the kids as well as us. And I think that was really what set the kids up for success. and didn't mean coaches wouldn't forget or wouldn't need gentle reminders. And as the years progressed and the kids got older, I think what we always tried hard to do was model the advocacy, let them hear the language we were using, and then for them to be able to slowly but surely start to advocate for themselves. And that was always the goal, right? That they're going to be able to do this on their own. And then the older they got, the more their needs were nuanced, and they could then specifically address those things with coaches. So I'm not speaking for them. I never want to speak for my kids. And 2 kids, same condition, very different needs. And which is also interesting, and depending on what sport you're playing. So now, even as at the college level, now that they're both college athletes, they have taken what they learned through that process and now done it with their college coaches and also their college professors. So something, Lexi, you might want to think about as you're heading into college is we have a teacher guide, and my son specifically took it upon himself to re-edit it and sends it to every professor before the next quarter, and then make sure he goes up and meets them face to face first day of class, and then goes to office hours to also make sure they put the name with the face. And it's been a really, really positive experience, and I'm actually very proud of him that he does that. And so that is definitely something I encourage parents, is to model that advocacy and be ready to pass the baton every opportunity you can for the kids to be able to do it for themselves. Oh, of course, I threw in a couple of my books that Lexi mentioned. Just kind of a fun thing, that the children's book my daughter and I wrote together, and it actually was published right February 2020. So we were getting ready to head on a book tour, and that came out. But it's her hearing loss journey from a 12-year-old's kind of witty voice. And then my other most recent book I wrote, it's kind of my story, my journey of raising kids with hearing loss, but also just like a lot of difficult things in my life and challenges that I have experienced in my life kind of led me to be ready to handle having 2 kids that had hearing loss. And so I included those here just so if anyone wants to check those out. And I guess in closing, I'll just say, here's where you can find me. But that's Battle and Harper on the left, and there's them as little ones. And then that's them at my daughter Harper's graduation, high school graduation. And the 2 shelter dogs, of course, have to make it into the show. But just to say, I wholeheartedly mean it when I say this. I love connecting with people in this community, parents, anyone who has a question or just needs some friendly advice. I'm not going to give medical advice. You should check with your doctor when it comes to what's safe for your child. And it's often a very personal decision, what is right for each family. But I will say, I will not keep things that we've tried and been successful with secret. I think the more we share, the less we feel alone. So please reach out. I'd love to have people follow and be part of the community we've created over on My Battle Call. It's one of my favorite places on the internet. It's all good vibes. So I'm happy to have anyone reach out to me via email or any of my socials. You can message me there. And I think Lexi was going to have me open it up. If anyone had any questions specifically for me, they could put in the chat and I can answer them now, or you can also just email me or message me. So if you have, what was the biggest challenge for either? You're welcome. Thank you. So, question is, what's one of the biggest challenges navigating hearing loss playing sports from a parent? I'll take the parent perspective, but then Lexi, I'm sure you, as the actual person with hearing loss, would have a different experience, clearly. But one thing I have observed from birth till now, having college age kids, is it's an invisible disability, and and I think people just forget. And so I think it's just having that constant need to advocate. And I'm sure for the, well, I know for my kids, it gets exhausting, but it's also necessary. And so I think that might be the most challenging, even though every coach I can think of that and it's a lot of coaches, they want the kids to succeed. But they also do, and they really appreciate being given the tools to help. But then just reminders. What would you add something to that, Lexi?
Personally, I grew up with a lot of these people, so of course they forget. But when I was younger, I didn't really have the advocacy skills when I was in dance, so unfortunately, I didn't really know how to advocate for myself and what do I need to succeed when I was in dance. But now I will 100% say like don't be shy, right? Because oh, those are my dogs. But also, but now in golf, um, it's usually my coaches. I'll let them know anytime if I have if I'm uncomfortable with doing this when because of my hearing loss, or I just want to make sure everything's good. But so far, I haven't had any issues with any coaches, thankfully.
Yeah. I would say also to parents, I think we worry more than the kid often. I think, well, my kids are not that things haven't bothered them or it's not been challenging at times, but they're so resilient and adaptable that I think I even see things that bother me more than it has bothered them. They just adapt. The older they got, obviously, I believe that like kids, it needs to be age appropriate. So I never would have expected my little kids to be the one who was, saying what their needs were without a parent as a backup or there to kind of lead and model. I think just you keep model what it looks like, what it sounds like, and then you kind of hand it over. Are there any more questions for me? All right. Well, if anyone does have any, send them my way through any of these links here or email me. And I think Lexi's got a couple athletes that might be part of a discussion.
I think we are ready to transition. Let me check the chat again just to make sure. Okay, we are going to transition over to the discussion. Will we please be able to end the recording?